Okay, this part of the video is about tightening up the CORS before we deploy this API to Azure, before it's publicly accessible. Why CORS? We don't just want anyone to call our API or be able to call our API with good or with bad intent. So we are going to tighten that up. And then IP rate limiting is more about trying to prevent too many requests for a certain duration. So yeah, some protection against being spammed. That could happen through our own websites, of course. So let's say the contact form on my website, yeah, if I don't do the necessary work to, for example, reset the contact form after sending or disabling the send button, people could just spam the send button and way too many requests per would be fired to the server. That's not too great. So feel free to do what I'm about to do in here in your API project at at the bottom of program CS. Let's see. But I'm going to move this to. Should maybe also move all of these to my shared API project. Configure services. Let's see. If I'm building another API, probably. Of course, this is using the app, the builder. And one is more for the configuration services, service collection. So let's just start in here and maybe we can move some options over afterwards. For me, it looks kind of like this. I only want to allow post from because I have not yet actually. I'm going to comment this out right now. This was mainly used for if you have a payment feature and use an external service for that, for example, Stripe or something else, or anything that uses the webhook methods. They actually, what they want to do is once the payment is finished, they want to notify you again. So they'll do that by posting to a certain endpoint, the endpoint you specify for them to post to. Of course, you need to allow that in your course. Maybe you can allow that on that one specific endpoint and not on all the posts endpoints, but okay. Then sources I want to allow, any method, any header is the sources I trust, so my own sources. These weird ones, these are actually the original Azure URLs. So if you deploy something to Azure, it's going to be available under some kind of generated URL. This URL you can then map using A records or CNAME records where you bought your domain name, so in your hosting provider. Then you could link those to, for example, a domain name you bought. So these are the ones I bought, Celicia.com, Belgian Dogos. Yeah, so these are I actually think these are the links of the backends. The backends that are online, they don't really need a readable, they don't really need to be accessed through the browser. So I'm not going to map those to anything. And these URLs are mainly for the front ends and maybe one Razor Pages app because I want better discoverability and SEO and all that. Okay, and then I allowed some more, the local ones. I'm not sure why exactly, if I had to do that, but yeah. Maybe if I'm testing something locally and I quickly switched out the URL of the backend for one that's live, then it's probably needs these to be accepted. But is that's not really wise to do so, I think, since now anyone hosting something on these things locally could be able to do it. So I'm not going to have those. And but now I'm not entirely sure if everything's just gonna be still running as expected if I run all of this locally. Let's give it a test run. Also, it might be an idea to uh, cut all of these to your app settings JSON. So once your application is online, maybe you want to override these values. So let's take a look at doing that. But let's first run it and try it out. It's possible maybe that I run into CORS errors and developing locally. That would be unfortunate, but or maybe I could move this in, let's say, if app environment is development, maybe I can just say allow anything or something, allow any headers or methods. That would be a good idea. From now running, I see errors, and I'm assuming these are course errors. My backend is running, I think, yeah. Front end. Hmm. So let's get these over to put this in the else statement of app is environment is development. And we run that. Still seems to give me those errors. So I was still getting errors running it locally in development. And I'm assuming that is because if you have nothing in here, so no course or anything, it's probably not going to allow anything. So I think the best way to go forward now is by just doing something like this. Allow any origin. I don't need this. So when we're in development, allow anything. When we're not in development, only those. Let's rerun that. It should work. And that works. Okay, that's all for course. Let's maybe move these to the app settings. Just because that's good practice. Okay, I would do this in the app settings.json, but I'm just gonna show you in here. I would make another, I would call it course something. Let's call it course policy config. And allowed origins. Oops. I would do it like that. Then I'm gonna move this over to the app settings.json since I don't need these in the development JSON. Okay, and then I'm going to make this in my shared API config and a class course config with a property list string of allowed origins. Not sure if I should initialize this or something. Don't think so. And then I want to bind this config to the services. These configure services. Course config. And it would be configuration.get section course config. Sorry, we don't have to actually configure this. We're not really going to use it outside of the API itself. So what I'd rather do maybe is say see and then Um, I'm thinking now, can I just do this? Say course. And then instead of these, once a string. What value? Let's just, sorry for switching all the time. Let's just make this a, and let's test that. Somehow this is a string instead of a array of strings. I'm a bit messing up with this. Maybe I can do that in one line instead of like this. I'm not actually sure if this is going to work. Let's test it. So with origins again, just a test. And the development cycle, rerun the project, and seems like there was an error. Let's change this to get value. Then I'm just not sure if this name is okay. And will this actually work in the development settings? Since it's not present there. Phew, okay, I was struggling a bit with the configuration, but this is how it can work. Get the section of the course config and then the subsection of the allowed origins, and then just get the value as a list of strings. And let's hope that runs. Okay, and if I now refresh, it should give me course errors. No, of course it's not running this project. And it should give me course errors, which is fine since I was testing with that. Let's now see. I'm gonna move. I temporarily copied this over to the development settings. Let's rebuild and see if it still works. And it still works as expected. So intentionally getting course errors. So I'm just gonna revert this back to allow any origin, and that should be final to be ready to deploy. Let's see if we can do my apologies. Maybe was trying to prevent that this crashes or something, this errors, when there's nothing in here, but maybe we should let it crash when these allowed origins aren't properly set. Okay, we're ready to deploy that to the to Azure, but one more thing is IP rate, rate limiting